Welcome. We're here today with Patrick Flanagan, and so excited to share information about your incredible work with all the folks who have worked with water liberty, who are interested in water liberty and interested to learn more about health and about healthy water. My name's Lucian Eisenhower, and been an environmentalist my whole life and worked with water quality in a lot of different ways. And I'm really pleased to be here today with you, Patrick.
Thank you, Lucian. It's good to be here with you also. It's a pleasure.
We're going to delve in quite a bit to these particular incredible inventions of yours, the MegaHydrate and Crystal Energy, to be specific. But before we kind of get into all that, I'm just curious, how did you get involved with water in this whole study?
Well, Lucian, I was born a child prodigy. At a very early age, at the age of 8 years old, I had a series of nightmares that made me have to read to make the nightmares go away. And I learned everything I could and had a voracious appetite. And by the time I was 14, I could read 14,500 words a minute with 95% comprehension.
Wow.
And I was just devouring books. Like, every 15 minutes I could read a book. And so I devoured literally thousands of books, read the Encyclopedia Britannica when I was 8 years old. And so I became a prodigy in electronics, built all my own ham radio gear when I was 8, and transmitters, receivers, everything. And so I invented a thing called an atomic bomb and missile tracking device when I was 11, and entered it in a science fair. And I won the entire science fair, even beating college kids. And so it appeared on on the APS, or Wire Services,
right,
and was on the front page of hundreds of newspapers. And so on Monday morning, I'm back in school after the science fair weekend, and in study hall, 7th grade, and this thing came over the loudspeaker from the principal's office. Patrick Flanagan, come to the principal's office. The Pentagon is on the telephone.
They announced it over
right.
the loudspeaker?
Yeah.
You said, oh boy, I'm in trouble now.
Oh, I did. Yeah. And so I went, and there was a general, 4-star general from Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and he asked me how I knew about all the missiles the U.S. had fired and where they went. And I said, well, I did it with my, invention. And so they sent a team from Wright-Patterson right away, 15 scientists and soldiers and all this stuff. And they took it away and made my father sign a non-disclosure kind of thing for me.
Did they also engage with you and kind of, were they curious as well, or?
Oh yeah, they used to ask me questions about it. It was all by mail back then, of course, and no internet.
Right.
That was 57 years ago, or actually more than that. And so I then went to work for the Pentagon in the summers on my vacation out of school, and there was a Pentagon think tank under contract to the Pentagon with William O. Davis, who was former head of the Office of Scientific Research of the Pentagon. He was in charge. And I'd go back there, and they were investigating an invention of mine called the neurophone. And during that time, I met Dr. Henri Coanda, who's famous for the Coanda effect. You can look that up. There isn't a jet airplane in the air today that doesn't use his discoveries for their wing designs and so forth.
This is the fluid dynamics?
Fluid dynamics. Okay. And he had 500 patents on fluid dynamics. And he was about 80 years old. And when I was at this think tank, I was 17 when I met him. And on his 80th birthday, I said, I hope I'm in the shape you're in when I'm 80. And he said, when you're 80, we'll talk about it. And Gloria Swanson was his girlfriend, the film star who went from silent films to talkies, and so I got to know them, and I had lunch with them every day at this laboratory. And one day, Kawanda invited me into his office at the lab, and he said he had been researching water for 60 years, and he said that I reminded him of him when he was my age.
Okay.
And he said, I'd like to share my water discoveries with you on the hopes that you can bring perfect water to humanity. And he had been studying Hunza water up in Hunzaland, which is north of Pakistan. And it's a mountain valley where people live to be easily over 100 years old. Sometimes women have babies in their 60s and 70s there. And so it's kind of like Shangri-La, the fountain of youth. And so he shared all of his work with me, and I began my own research on water. He said, someday I believe you will provide Hunza water to the entire world. And so, and people everywhere can have the rejuvenating qualities of Hunza water. And so I began my own research, and it took me less than 20 years to discover the secret. And it was a special colloidal mineral in the water, in Hunza water, that came from glaciers, that had these special characteristics that altered water and made the water that the people drink there kind of a crystal water, where the water is highly structured like the water found inside the body.
So when you say crystal, when I think of a physical crystal like you might see inside a geode, that type of crystal being a certain type of molecule that's just ordered. It's exactly ordered. But you're saying that applies with water as well.
Absolutely. There are liquid crystals. A lot of cell phones had liquid crystal displays.
Right,
okay?
sure.
And these liquid crystals would be aligned by electric fields. And now we have LEDs, micro LEDs, but for a while we had liquid crystals. It turns out that what we call structured water is actually structured like a liquid crystal. And the water inside the body surrounding the cells, it's now well known because of nuclear magnetic resonance and other techniques, that the water surrounding our cells is highly structured and organized like liquid crystals, especially water around proteins. And so I was early in on this because I discovered all this before they knew that the water in the body was structured.
And so structured water is not only H2O, the water molecule, but it's including these mineral compounds as well?
Absolutely. In science there's chemistry, and chemists say, well, water is just plain H2O, and that's all there is to it. Yeah. But materials scientists who study the properties of materials will tell you that water has different structures depending on what it's in contact with, and forms liquid crystals. And so I was way ahead of the curve because I duplicated Hunza water. I then sent thousands of bottles out. I packaged little bottles of it, and I called it Hunza colloidal water or something way back then. This was back in the, the early 80s, early 80s. And I sent this water out to people, and then people started reporting miraculous things happening in their bodies from adding this water to their diet.
So it was your replica of this glacial water that.
Exactly, yeah. And so I then decided, well, I can't keep giving all this away. I need to figure out what to do. So I came up with the name Crystal Energy, and put that on the market in the 1980s, and it became an instant overnight success just all by itself, no advertising. And I built up a huge mailing list of people and took off from there.
And so that's one of the things here. So what is crystal energy?
Well, crystal energy consists of mineral colloids made out of silica. Silica is a part of our skeleton and part of our bodies, and it's almost considered an essential mineral for the body. And people who have done, especially at UCLA, where they did studies on all the minerals in the body, they said that silica should be considered an essential mineral. And but there are 342 structures of silica, and I discovered the 343rd structure of silica, and it's a special form. They're little bitty tiny spheres, 5 nanometers in diameter. That is so small that 2,000 of them would sit side by side across the head of a pin, and so these little colloidal minerals that are so small have an electric charge of minus 100 millivolts, which is actually a tenth of a volt. And
but a tenth of a volt in an extremely small particle. So
Yes.
that's actually powerful.
super powerful. You know, if you were able to take a metal needle and you were able to polish it until the end of it was a 5 nanometer sphere, and you put 1 volt on it, it would create a little lightning arc coming off of it at 1 volt, or at a tenth of a volt even. Sorry, because it's so small, the radius of curvature concentrates the charge, and so these little colloids added to water have a powerful, powerful effect. They attract water molecules and form structures around the colloids, and they all distribute themselves evenly throughout the liquid, a few hundred angstroms apart. And 1 drop of crystal energy contains billions of these colloids. So when we take a glass of water and we add 1 drop to it, it adds billions of little tiny mineral particles of high charge to the water. And when you add that to water, we usually recommend 1 drop per ounce. I squirt it in water when I drink, but it lowers the surface tension of water and makes water wetter. Literally makes water wetter.
Because the surface tension of water is like when I fill a glass and I pour it full,
Right.
you see that curve of the water.
Right.
And actually there's quite a bit of resistance on the edge of water. But you're saying this changes the surface tension.
It changes it, reduces it.
And so things can pass more easily through.
Through the water, or the water can pass more easily through things, like your cell membranes.
Okay, so if this structured water with crystal energy can pass more easily through cell membranes, then what types of benefits or effects does that create?
Well, it helps to hydrate the cells, and we actually did a study which we published on our website, and it shows that we increase the rate of transfer of nutrients, both oil-soluble nutrients and water-soluble nutrients across cell membranes 2.5 times faster than regular water. And it also increases the rate that toxins can be eliminated from the cell 2.5 times faster.
That's incredible, because 2.5 times larger. If water is the ability, if a cell is hydrated versus, right, if we're dehydrated, we're all shriveled up like a raisin, right? A raisin is a dehydrated grape. You picture
Right.
hydrated, you've got this large surface of a cell, and if water is passing 2.5 times faster, then it must be able to carry a lot more with it, I would think.
Well, in fluid dynamics, it's well known that if you have a river that's flowing at 1 mile an hour, or any rate, let's say 1 mile an hour, it can carry at that rate a certain amount of content, minerals, silt, things like that. If you double the speed of the river, it can carry 64 times as much through the cell membrane, or the water through the cell membrane, or the river can carry 64 times as much material. And double that to 4 miles an hour, and it contains 64 times 64 times. And so even though the transition across cell membranes is slow, we're making it 2.5 times faster just by adding crystal energy to the water.
So crystal energy creating a structured water, which is easier for your cells and for your cell walls to work with.
Right.
That can then facilitate a lot more nutrient transfer in, water coming in, toxins coming out.
Well, yes, and so we've got, let's say, several studies published in scientific journals, peer-reviewed journals, on the products that I developed as a result of this discovery, and we're very excited about it because we're now recognized. When we first came out with crystal energy and another product we call MegaHydrate, we got all kinds of flack from Harvard, from the Harvard scientific medical review or whatever, and they said that the claims we were making were impossible and couldn't possibly be true. And then we published in the peer-reviewed journals, and we didn't get any flack from the peer review audience, and so they accepted the discoveries we've made, and now we're real on real solid ground.
Yeah, I spent quite a bit of time on your website and on the Phi Science, and I was really impressed. But I mean, there's an incredible bibliography of both your own research as well as other research studies that have referenced it. And it was, just saying how you've been open book. Let's examine this, and I think that speaks volumes.
Well, it helps because our products are, in what we call the health field or whatever. There are very few products that actually have been tested and tested in peer-reviewed journals and published like this. So we're very proud of our work.
Well, we're excited to be here today,
Thank you.
Patrick, with you, because you bring such a wealth of experience and so many years. I mean, I was laughing earlier. You said it only took me 20 years to figure it out. So
Yeah.
you've been sticking with this for a long time.
I have. I've been an inventor for since I was 8 years old. So you could say 62 years.
There you go.
Right.
And what about MegaHydrate? What is it? What are the differences?
Well, MegaHydrate is the most powerful antioxidant. One thing we discovered is that some of the minerals that we found in Hunza water actually changed the redox potential of water, which water normally is oxidized. And the more oxidized the water, the more harmful to your body, because if you drink oxidized water, the free radicals attack cells in your body and cause damage. And the free radical theory of aging says that free radicals accelerate the aging process. And what we've discovered is that the lower the redox potential, that is, the less oxidized the water is, the better it is for your body.
Oxidation being like rusting.
Yeah. Literally, our cells rust, our cells oxidize, and oxidation damages DNA, and that's why we take antioxidants in food. Vitamin C is an antioxidant, right? But when vitamin C neutralizes particles that are harmful, vitamin C becomes a harmful particle.
Right, okay, because when you have an antioxidant like vitamin C, like grapefruit seed extract, like green tea, it's going and it's giving an electron. So it's neutralizing an oxidant. It's neutralizing the effect of eating barbecue or smoking cigarettes or whatever.
Right.
But then you're saying physically that vitamin C molecule degrades.
Well, vitamin C is known as ascorbic acid.
Right.
But when it neutralizes a free radical, it becomes dehydroascorbic acid. And dehydro actually means that it's lost a hydrogen atom. And it turns out that hydrogen is the most powerful antioxidant in the universe. And our product, MegaHydrate, releases negative ionized hydrogen from a tiny molecule. Vitamin C is a giant molecule,
Right.
and each one releases one hydrogen, and then vitamin C becomes harmful, but not as harmful as what it neutralized. And this is the only antioxidant, MegaHydrate's the only source of hydrogen that when it neutralizes free radicals, it becomes water. It just attaches to oxygen and becomes water, and is no longer a free radical. And so we found out that the negative hydrogen ions from MegaHydrate can restore all the antioxidants in your body. It can make vitamin C recycle itself over and over again in your body, and other antioxidants.
So that's fascinating. You're explaining that really vitamin C technically is a delivery mechanism for hydrogen.
Yes.
It's giving off a hydrogen that can then give an electron to neutralize an oxidant. So this is kind of cutting right to the chase.
It goes right to the chase. In fact, it turns out that all antioxidants known release hydrogen ions, but usually from large molecules. But all antioxidants have different electrical charges, so they're targeting specific molecules or free radicals of specific charges, whereas MegaHydrate can neutralize any free radical no matter what its charge, and also restore other antioxidants in the body.
This is incredible because, I mean, I'm thinking about high school chemistry, I mean, the periodic table of elements, look it up on Google. Hydrogen being the smallest atom. So I imagine, I'm just kind of thinking out loud, this is incredible to think about, that it's so small, it can probably go a lot of places in the body.
The problem is a hydrogen molecule has one proton and one electron, and that electron cannot neutralize a free radical just with a single hydrogen atom. But what these antioxidants release are something called H-, negative ionized hydrogen. Hydrogen can take on an extra electron further out that has a voltage that is compatible with your body. And so negative ionized hydrogen is the master antioxidant of the entire universe, and it's found in all antioxidants. The problem with other antioxidants is that you have to consume a huge amount of them to get the same amount of hydrogen you would in one capsule of MegaHydrate. And so one capsule of MegaHydrate has the same negative hydrogen atoms as you would find in let's say, conservatively, 100 glasses of orange juice.
Right, because I'm thinking about like a vitamin C molecule. That's a large molecule, and then you're looking for this one active hydrogen to come off. So how did you figure this out in terms of...
Well, I don't know. I have a gift, and the gift that I've been given is the ability to see things other people don't see. Albert St. Georgi, one of my favorite scientists, said that everyone sees everything, but some people see something in everything that no one else sees. And so I was investigating. My biggest investigation was, why is organic, fresh, raw food, and you take organic, fresh, raw juice, okay, and you drink it immediately after juicing, and your body feels like it's so strong and powerful and uplifting, and you feel so good. And yet you can take that same juice, put it in the refrigerator for half an hour, and then drink it, and you don't get that lift.
Right, just sugar water.
Right, and I wondered, it's still got some antioxidants, but I wondered, why is it that the fresh raw juice right then gives you such an uplifting feeling? And I discovered the negative ionized hydrogen. When you juice fresh carrots, or you juice other fruits and vegetables, right from the tree, especially if you can, or the ground. It gives you negative ionized hydrogen, but negative ionized hydrogen can disappear so fast because the hydrogen is light and it just evaporates. And so I wanted to figure out what that was. I discovered it was negative ionized hydrogen, and so I was able to figure out how to put it in a little capsule. 2 capsules
Okay.
of MegaHydrate.
Now, well, first things first.
First time I ever demonstrated this to a group of people, we came out with little bottles of water, okay, and I started talking to this group of people, which is about 40 people, and I took 2 capsules of this and I took them apart and I put them in each bottle of water, shook it up a little bit, and gave it to everyone. And I said, while I'm talking, I'd like you to drink that water. And the people, consumed the water. And after about half an hour, people were raising their hands and saying, I don't know what it is, but that water you gave me, I feel so good, and they'd say things like I feel kind of like, what's in that water? You didn't put, one of them said, you didn't put acid or anything in that water, didn't you? And I said, no, it's just MegaHydrate, negative ionized hydrogen.
So this is going to be a really interesting interview today.
It was the best thing I ever did.
Wow.
It was, as a demonstration of it, that's the fastest way. If someone wants to feel good fast, take it out of the capsules, put it in a glass of water or half a glass of water, stir it up, let it sit for about 10 minutes or so, and then drink it. You'll get the most wonderful lift you've ever felt. It's just like drinking, a gallon of fresh raw carrot juice,
Wow.
Instantly from the machine.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, we're huge fans of juicing and eating organic and do that, but this sounds like an incredibly exciting tool. And check out the Water Liberty website. You'll see the link to learn more about these and also to order these. But that sounds like a fun pick-me-up in the morning.
Oh, it is. It really is. In fact, I like carrying, the capsules around because I'm lazy sometimes, and I just take a capsule.
And so you've been working with these for years now. What can you share with us about some of the benefits that people have found using Crystal Energy MegaHydrate?
Well, let's put it this way. When I was 30 years old, I had been a self-trained gymnast as a teenager. My high school didn't have a team down in Texas, Houston. And so I taught myself gymnastics, but I didn't have a coach, so I had a lot of accidents, like jerking my shoulders out of socket, almost breaking my back, hurting my legs, spraining my ankles, putting my knee out, all kinds of things. And so when I'm 30 years old, just as I'm discovering Crystal Energy, I'd get up out of bed in the morning and I'd creak my way to the bathroom.
It was catching up with you.
My ankles and bones would snap and crack and creak,
Yeah.
and it really hurt every morning. It hurt to get out of bed, and so I started drinking at that point the Crystal Energy, huge amounts, and about a month later, it was like I was the Tin Man and I got all my joints greased. And all that was gone. And then about the same time, I developed this super antioxidant, MegaHydrate. They actually go together. And so I started taking it. And I had friends run into me. I was living in Sedona, Arizona, and I had friends running into me. They'd come from California. And they'd say, what are you doing? And I'd say, what do you mean, what am I doing? And they'd say, well, I knew you 10 years ago, and you looked a whole lot older than you look now. What's going on? And I said, well, it must be the things.
And so these complement, the Crystal Energy and the MegaHydrate
Right.
can complement.
Oh, they do.
How does that work?
Well, the Crystal Energy is like the Hunza water, and it increases the rate of flow of nutrients across cell membranes and eliminate of toxins. And your lifespan is directly corresponding to the amount of antioxidants you have in your body at any given time. So the theory is that free radicals accelerate our aging process,
Sure.
and antioxidants neutralizing free radicals would slow down or decelerate the aging process. I'm pretty good at 70. But aging isn't for pansies. It's aging is quite a process, but I'm pretty happy that I have at least these things to help slow it down.
Well, it's really fascinating for me to think about these two together. So the crystal energy facilitating just a lot more exchange, water, nutrients and toxins out, but then the ability to neutralize a lot of those toxins this way.
And I'm 71 in a month. I'll be 71, and I never thought I'd make it this far because I was such a daredevil growing up, and I use my own body as a guinea pig in all my research. I've had 3 near-death experiences, and one of them was electrocution in my lab.
Oh man!
and so I thank God for this, because if I go back to 30, when all my joints were creaking, I'd probably have severe joint problems and be walking around with a cane or something at 70 if I even made it this far. So I thank God for this development and for giving me the insight and the wherewithal to create them. I don't know, where it came from, but it's literally a gift from Henri Coanda to me for the water research, and literally a gift from our Creator to actually make discoveries like this.
Well, I'm just so pleased that we're here together and that we're having the opportunity to share this with all of you folks. And a lot of people who are watching this video have probably worked with Clarity and have known Water Liberty through that. And through all your experience and your years of research, have you had experience with Clarity? What are your thoughts on it?
I bought Clarity the minute it came out. The minute I heard about it, I bought it and I tested it, and it works. It's an excellent product. I have a ranch in Arizona, and the water from the well is got high levels of arsenic and other bad minerals. It's very, very hard water.
Which is a common issue with wells, with well water.
Common issue. And so I don't drink the well water. And I don't even like feeding it to our plants, to our garden and our trees and things, but they seem to be all right. But I try to filter some of it out. But so the first thing I did is I took our well water, which I never drink, and I took a big glass and put a teaspoon of Clarity in it and let it sit overnight to see what would happen. And in the morning, there was this dark sludge in the bottom of the glass. And then I carefully sipped it, a little taste test, because I didn't like drinking that water. But it tasted sweet, like spring water. The harshness of those minerals disappeared, and I was fascinated. I finished the glass of water. I threw away the bottom residue, and then I started experimenting with it, and I was fascinated. It does everything that I read about, and so I bought a bunch of it in case the world came to an end and I needed to purify water out of puddles and things like that, and so I did that. I bought a lot of it and I experimented. I'd go around my ranch when it rained, and with all the aluminum that's falling in rainwater and other minerals and things. and I'd pick up from a dirty mud puddle on my property. I'd pick up, carefully siphon some of that water out, and I filtered the water through a paper coffee filter just to get rid of the mud, And then I added audio clarity to that, and then I tested the water, and it was clean, bacteria-free, and tasted good. So I'm a real believer in it.
Wow, Patrick Flanagan using his body in the laboratory, in the field.
I do. I don't do animal testing. I do Patrick testing on everything.
Well, we're super excited. Thank you for spending the time here with us today, and
my pleasure.
For everyone getting to really dive deeper in this. And we're excited to offer this. Check below for information on more on the products, more on Crystal Energy, more on MegaHydrate, how to order. And is there anything else you'd like to share with us here?
Well, it's been such a pleasure. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. Well,
This man has a firm handshake.
I have a new friend.
I think you'll beat me in arm wrestling, man.
I doubt it, but maybe. Thank you.
Thank you for all of your work, and thank you for sharing this with us. I really, really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Awesome.